What's going on, Falcon fan? This your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. So today we're gonna recap the Atlanta Falcons 2025 draft, and I can say the Atlanta Falcons was definitely one of the teams that could be considered the one to draft. I mean, when you think about the need or where they had to go get positions, and then the value of those picks, no reach. I think the Atlanta Falcons had a really good day. And then looking at some of the undrafted free agents they was able to bring in as well, I think the Atlanta Falcons, um, in my opinion, is an A. No, I'm biased, but when you're looking at the moves that Atlanta Falcons was able to make during this draft, and you know, subsequently after the draft, bringing in guys that can still be productive. I really think the Atlanta Falcons, um, Terry had, not having that many picks, only having 5 picks. I think Atlanta Falcons made the most out of those picks. And you're thinking about the things that the Atlanta Falcons had to do this offseason to make this team more competitive going into 2025. Right now, a lot of the Atlanta Falcon fans, including myself, are really liking the moves that they have made. So, guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you're not dropping another video. Please hit the like button, as I know you guys are here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can hear me talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So, guys, just get a quick recap into what the Atlanta Falcons were able to do over this 3-day draft period. And um, definitely want to hear from you guys. Give me your grades as well. It's always too early to give grades because guys have never really played an NFL snap, but their potential, what you think they're going to bring to this team, and how you think they can be productive, especially this year in 2025. So, the first guy Atlanta Falcons was able to bring in was, of course, Jaylen Walker. We already recapped that, but just a real quick recap. A guy that Atlanta Falcons did not expect to drop to number 15. Um, he was projected to go in the top 10 most of the draft, and then he fell to the Atlanta Falcons at number 15. So, without hesitation, Atlanta Falcons called his number and rushed that card up to get him in to make him the selection for the Atlanta Falcons at number 15. A guy that's really versatile, playing, linebacker, dropping back in coverage, spying quarterbacks, and most importantly, getting after the quarterback from the edge position. He can do it all. Listen to Jeff Albrecht, though, his press conference today. He's going to start him off rushing the passer. So right off the bat, he want to try to bring pressure to the quarterback, something that Jaylen Walker was really good at. Was already mentioned, being one of the guys that had the one of the 7 most pressures for Georgia, but during those seven most pressures, he had the highest rate. So this guy, less pressures than anybody else on the team pretty much, and still had the highest rate. So that means when he did rush the passer, he was really productive. If you want to see anything about what Jaylen Walker is able to do, just go back and watch the 2 games that we played against the University of Texas. In particular, the New Orleans Saints draft pick that they took, and how Jaylen Walker was able to dominate him, that being a top 10 pick at left tackle. So you gotta like what we got out of Jaylen Walker. In my opinion, could be considered a steal of the draft. Um, Taking him, a guy that's projected to go in the top 10, and the Atlanta Falcons was able to get him at number 15 and really, you know, address the need that they really need to have. So Jaylen Walker at number 15 was the first pick for the Atlanta Falcons. Going to our next pick, definitely if you're going to look at um, James Pierce Jr., a guy out of Tennessee, and a guy that's decided to come back in for his 2024 season, where a lot of people felt like if he came out in 23, came out in 24, he would have been projected as a top 5 draft pick. So numbers a little bit down. Far concerned, he only had 7.5 sacks this year. But if you looked at what he was able to do over the two seasons, his career in Tennessee: 19.5 sacks, 30 tackles for a loss, one interception, three forced fumbles, 71 tackles. I mean, this guy is 6'5", 243 pounds, runs a sub four, sub 4.5 40. A guy that's got the bend, got the ability to get off blocks so quick. Really comp. If you look at what you're getting out of him, is similar to what we already got in Leonard Floyd, the guy who's been in the league a long time. And I think he's a little bit more faster and explosive than Leonard Floyd. So, that length, having that length that he's going to be able to utilize, and that speed, that burst off the edge. Um, Jeff Ulbrich mentioned that he's going to be predominantly playing, pressure off the edge. Both of these guys, Jaylen Walker and James Pierce, had potential to be starters this year, but they got to show it on the field and earn. It's going to be hard for these pass rushers to get off, and go get some of the best tackles in the NFL. Particular the ones we have on our team as well. So I'm interested how these guys can, contribute this year. But being able to get both of these guys in, I think could be ultimate game changers. And once again, the Atlanta Falcons was able to fix a need. Now, the Atlanta Falcons did have to come back in the first round at number 26 to get James Pierce. I think a guy that they was going to actually pick at number 15, but since he was still on the board, the Atlanta Falcons were willing to come back into the first round, given where their first round pick for next year. But in essence, they pretty much just took the pick for next year and James Pierce Jr., a guy that they felt like they could have took at 15 if Jaylen Walker hadn't fell into their lap. So bringing both of these guys in definitely fixed that need that Atlanta Falcons have been yearning for the last 13, 14 years, to be better in pass rush. The Atlanta Falcons number 31 in pass rush this year. Hopefully, adding these two guys to the table, along with, Leonard Floyd on Rebbe Katie, progressing, Brandon Trice coming back. Let's see what the Atlanta Falcons can bring to the table, bring juice. So their first two picks, both was in the first round. Of course, the Atlanta Falcons gave with their second round pick. So the next pick was in the third round, where they picked up from the Los Angeles Rams. And we'll move to that pick now. And that pick was Mr. Xavier Watts, the all-pro safety out of Notre Dame, a guy who had the most interceptions over the last two seasons in college football, 13 interceptions, 18 pass defense, and then a one pick six in there as well. A guy who's 232 pounds. A guy that actually said he kind of mimicked his game after our all-pro safety that we have already on the team in Jesse Bates. The interesting thing about this, if you're looking at when we brought Justin Simmons in last year, we was like we're going to have a really dynamic, duo in the backfield with Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates. And now we got a younger version of a Jesse Bates here and Xavier Watts, a guy that played receiver coming into college, moved over to linebacker, and safety. So he has the instincts to be able to go get the ball. He understands route concepts, and you can see those instincts on display when you're looking at his film. And a guy that's going to be able to, in my opinion, contribute right away. I know the Atlanta Falcons signed Jordan Fuller. You still got DeMarco Hellams on the team as well, but Xavier Watt has the potential because of his playmaking ability and his instincts and things like that, have opportunity to show that he can hit the field early. Just how to see how quick he can learn, the speed of the NFL and get out there and make those plays. Moving on to another playmaker that the Atlanta Falcons actually brought in. If you're looking at a guy like Billy Bowman Jr., a little undersized, 5'10", 200 pounds, 199 tackles, 11 interceptions, 14 pass defense, and 3 pick sixes to his name over his tenure at the University of Oklahoma. This guy's another playmaker. I know they listed as a safety. He played a lot of safety in Oklahoma. He also played nickel. And listen to Jeff Ulbrich, that's what they see him as, playing in that nickel position. Once again, a pick that the Atlanta Falcons, a lot of people didn't think he was actually going to be on the board in the 4th round for the Atlanta Falcons, but he was. And the biggest thing about this is another playmaker. Atlanta Falcons have the top 2 guys that took away the ball over the last couple of seasons on their squad now, back in the secondary, and Xavier Watts and Billy Bowman. If you want to go get the ball, these guys do have the potential to do that. Um, Downhill, physical play from both of these guys. Billy Bowman, you did mention he's going to work on some of his tackle ability, so that's going to be something that should be at home. But looking at his physicality, that should not be a problem. It probably is more of a technique thing when you're talking about a guy like him coming down, but he loves to play in the box. He loves to come down and be physical. But what I like about it is being able to run a 4-4, put him in that slot position, being able to mirror those quicker slot receivers. And his instincts that we see with 11 interception, know that he has the ability to go get the ball as well. So, just imagine Jesse Bates, Billy Bowman, Xavier Watts, AJ Terrell in that backfield. You start to like what you see. And once again, I thought the Atlanta Falcons had to fill some of these needs in the secondary, and I think they did that with both of these picks and Xavier Weir and Billy Bowman. And then last, guys, Atlanta Falcons had a 7th round pick. And, most of these guys that you're bringing in the 7th round, it's going to be somebody that needs to develop over the time. And I'm talking about Jack Nelson, a 4-year starter out of Wisconsin. Played all over the offensive line for the Wisconsin Badgers. You heard him talk today. He said he's more comfortable at the right tackle position, which is interesting because we definitely need somebody. Once Caleb McGarry decision be made on him, he's still here for another year. But if it's Caleb McGarry they decide not to bring him back, we got another guy in Jack Nelson who's 6'7", 316 pounds. Only allowed 1 sack in 2024, and the PFF gave him a grade of 79.9. A guy that excelled in zone blocking scheme, right? That's what Atlanta Falcons bread and butter is. Guy that's real physical in the run. Played a lot at right guard, left tackle as well. And then, like I said, he felt like, doing the pre-draft workouts, he felt really, really comfortable playing right tackle. So that's probably where they might start him out at, right tackle. But more than likely, since we all have a left tackle and a right tackle, they're going to probably use him more of a swing tackle in that role. Being a 7th round pick, his job is to try to make the squad, right? Like I said, be that developmental piece, and have him ready for 2026, whatever decision be on Caleb McGarry. But, this is a solid pick, a guy that if you think about offensive lineman coming out of Wisconsin, what kind of offensive lineman they breed. So I think this is a solid pickup. Getting a guy in the 7th round that really, really can develop in that already outstanding offensive line room. So I love it. I love it a lot. And honestly, guys, when I'm looking at this Atlanta Falcons draft class, there's no other way around it. I believe the Atlanta Falcons, grade would be an A, right? You talk about finding needs around the board. When you look at the Atlanta Falcons' needs going into the draft, you would say they need a pass rusher. You would say they need a linebacker. You would say they need defensive backs. And you might want to say that they needed a center, right? Somebody to compete at center. It may be the only thing you can question, but they was able to go. Terry Fontenot always calls it the 8th round, and they was able to go out and actually get some other players to bring in. Joshua Gray is one of the centers out of guard / centers out of Oregon State, a guy that potentially coming in as an undrafted free agent can compete for a position there with Ryan Newsel. Defensive end Simeon Barrow from Miami. This guy, if you look at his tape, you really impressed about what you've seen from his tape. 5.5 sacks. A guy that's get real skinny coming up, taking on double teams. shoots the gap real well. I like the way you looking at a guy like Simeon Barrow coming in, but I think one of the guys um, that Atlanta Falcons got that probably might be the steal, as undrafted guys is Nick Nash, receiver out of San Jose State. This guy won the Triple Crown, in that league. Um, Big body guy, goes up, snatch the ball out of the air. I like it a lot. I felt like the Atlanta Falcons needed just receivers, but they didn't have to do it in the draft, right? Bringing in more competition for that third, fourth, fifth receiver spots. Um, Nick Nash is going to be able to do that, and I would not be surprised if he's able to make the roster, along with Quincy Skinner as well, another guy that they brought in, um, receiver out of Vanderbilt, another big body guy. You kind of see where they get in that vibe, bringing in bigger guys, 6'2", you know, over 6 feet tall guys that going to make a good target for Michael Penix with his strong arm. So you love to see that. A cornerback they brought in, Malik Verdun, from Iowa State, is another guy that they brought in as well. Just bringing more depth to that cornerback room. We're going to need that. That was one of our needs. They did address the secondary very well, in my opinion, with um, with Xavier Watts and Billy Bowman. But bringing in Malik Verdun as well is going to be really, really good for Atlanta Falcons. These are not the only guys that they brought in. It was more guys as well. Um, Dante Manning is another cornerback they brought in from Oregon. So just going to look at some of these guys that's going to be competing as well. If not get on the 53-man roster, definitely on the 16-man practice squad. Only thing about drafting guys, undrafted guys that you bring in, during this time, the biggest issue is being poached. Just like Zion Lowe got poached. If he don't make the 53-man roster, you put him on the practice squad. Buffalo Bills snatched him out the practice squad last year, so that would be the only fear. So if you got spots for these guys and you believe in them, and it's between a veteran that's really teetering on still going to be in the lead or not, you want to take the potential, in my opinion, of the younger guys. So we'll see what happens this year with these undrafted guys. A guy like Jack Nelson being drafted in the 7th round, the potential there. Do you keep him or you keep one of these older veteran guys that you got on the roster? So those are things that Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris have to think about. But guys, honestly, when you're looking at this 2025 draft class, I am really impressed about what Terry Fontenot had to do. I mean, we started this offseason saying that he really had to nail the draft class, especially we see what happened in free agency, losing some key personnel, particular Grady Jarrett. You had to really, win the offseason. And now, in my opinion, you watch Terry, how happy he is. Now it's up to the coaching staff to be able to develop these guys. I still believe that, we are a young team on the defense side of the ball, but these guys got to play big this year. It's just that simple. Most of us believe in what our offense is going to be able to bring to the table, but we got to do it as a team, offensively and defensively. And if we're able to do that, I think Atlanta Falcons have a good season. We will definitely recap the whole NFC South on the next video, so be on the lookout for that. We'll talk about the moves that was made by our counterparts in the division. In particular, I do like what the Carolina Panthers was able to do. The New Orleans Saints, I'm not really impressed about the moves they made. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I have to go back and look at some of the moves. I'm not 100% sure about all the moves they made. I did like the moves they made in the offseason from free agency standpoint, but we'll definitely get their draft classes on all other 3 opponents. But I do like what the Panthers did. I just think about the names they got, guys that's bringing back from a veteran standpoint. The Carolina Panthers is going to be a really good team this year. So it's going to be tough for the Atlanta Falcons to just pencil them in as a W, like, in the past year. So I can't wait till we get the schedule out. Be on the lookout for that as well, May 14th, and we'll see what everything stands. But guys, let me know what you think about this draft class from the Atlanta Falcons. Do you agree with me that that Terry Fontenot and the coaching staff, and and his scouts did an excellent job this year with the value, filling the needs, no reach, um, and then utilizing the 2026 draft to to counter for some of the lack of draft picks that we had this year. Giving up that first and that fifth in 2026, to make your roster better, because those guys are going to be here as well next year. So if they pan out to be good picks, those picks that we gave up won't even matter. So I really want to hear your guys' thoughts. Let me know what you think about this draft class, and let's see if they turn to what we hope it is. And right now, I have an A, maybe even an A plus. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.